This may be a rather stupid question in your eyes. Obviously, the Sharingan is better, right? It's rarer and can evolve and has basically become the thing that everyone recognizes about the series. Due to this, however, I feel like a lot of people sleep on the Byakugan. It may not be as unique, being the most plenteous dojutsu in the series, compared to the Sharingan, which is harder to come by and displays new designs for every Mangekyo achieve. But this may not be quite so clear-cut, as even Kakashi stated that the Byakugan may in some ways be superior to the Sharingan. And you should remember at this time, Kakashi was aware of the Mangekyo Sharingan, possessing one himself. So for today, what I would like to do is measure which of these two dojutsu is truly the best. So rev up those fryers because we sure are hungry for the truth. Welcome to the Amagi. Only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. The Sharingan. This dojutsu is probably the most well-known and needs no introduction. Being the dojutsu that was born directly from the Rinne Sharingan, the special dojutsu awakened by Kaguya after consuming the chakra fruit, it carries a rich history, derived directly from Six Paths powers, which can explain a lot about its abilities. Popularized by Kakashi first and Sasuke second, it was the dojutsu that could only be awakened by the Uchiha clan, or those who held strong ties to Indra, unless you're the Fuma clan. Then you just get genetically shafted and nothing but big shuriken. But if you're lucky enough to have the potential to awaken a Sharingan, your career as a shinobi is all but guaranteed. You'll either make Jonin quickly, become an Anbu, or found a world-spanning terrorist organization and single-handedly declare World War IV on every country in the world. Hopefully not that last one, but surely the Sharingan is a legendary dojutsu. And it's legendary for a reason. First awakened by Indra Otsutsuki, or Hagoromo if you take filler into your personal canon, it was quickly discovered that it was undoubtedly linked to emotion. Fragile hearts, intense situations create a sort of water hammer effect that erupts in an explosion of power that causes spontaneous evolution in one's body and soul. But unbeknownst to most, the Sharingan doesn't have 3 stages of evolution, it actually has 6. You see, if the Mangekyo Sharingan is a new evolution due to it growing stronger and getting a new design, then shouldn't we count every Tomoe that it gains? Heck, we can even count the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan as its own stage of evolution, despite it simply being the Mangekyo Sharingan of a close relative with a slightly different design and no drawbacks. But anyway, the Sharingan has 3 stages in its base. The first Tomoe awakening, the second Tomoe awakening, and the third Tomoe awakening. Each Tomoe is like a little medal you get every time you become more mature and or master its abilities. The dojutsu's reaction time is insanely great, and through it, it can detect and see things up to and beyond the speed of light, which seems impossible since your eyes need light to see. Alas, we choose to go the route of ninja magic to explain this. The Sharingan has 2 sets of abilities. The first set of abilities is called the Eye of Insight, and the second is called the Eye of Hypnotism. Beginning with Insight, its first ability is ironically one shared with the Byakugan. It can see chakra. Not only can it see chakra, but it can even see through objects. Granted, this ability is nowhere near on the same level as the Byakugan, but it's still important. Further, it can see through genjutsu by finding the small inconsistencies within them, and can even see when others are under genjutsu as well. With the Eye of Insight, a user can also see and understand things, even down to a cellular level. But beyond that, it gives them a varied degree of hand-eye coordination far beyond those without this dojutsu. This allows them to mirror anything they see, including writing with a pencil or even mimicking ninjutsu. At its strongest, it can even predict what an opponent's next move is via observation alone, as Kakashi could do. The only drawback is that the user actually needs to be able to see and understand what they're looking at. Unless you know that nature transformation already, I highly doubt you're going to be able to use water release just by looking at it. However, if you do know how to use these other nature transformations, you can basically become a copy ninja, just like Kakashi, who basically has the ability to steal any ninjutsu he sees being cast. Man, Sharingan got a strong start. But as we move on, it's time to look at the Sharingan's Eye of Hypnotism. As you may guess, this means it can cast genjutsu through it. If one makes eye contact with a Sharingan user, the Sharingan user can, in a way, hijack control over one's body. This isn't the only application, but it's the most well-known. The user's ability can even be extended to controlling tailed beasts. though this level of control is rare and generally requires a Mangekyo to be able to control. With this ability, the users can even project themselves into the mind of an enemy and affect the things they find inside. A scary ability indeed. But this isn't the only ability of the Sharingan. After this, the user may gain access to the Mangekyo Sharingan. Awakening the Mangekyo is even rarer than awakening the standard Sharingan, as it requires a very particular situation and mental and emotional state. Particularly, the user must be filled with incredible hate, often self-loathing, and the loss of someone near and dear to them. Indra awakened this when he murdered his best friends, and Hagoromo awakened his in filler along with his Rinnegan when he believed that he had killed his brother. Sasuke only awakened his after killing Itachi, and Itachi awakened his when he failed to save Shisui. Honestly, it's not really something you want to awaken, as it would require you to give up something you deeply love for power's sake. But if you did manage to awaken one, the powers you receive are far greater than the base Sharingan, and we'll see the user awaken 3 different abilities that could either be insanely broken or severely underpowered. Kamui is broken, as it allows you to control the fabric of space and even go to other dimensions, and Amaterasu is a classic ability, but sometimes you get techniques that aren't that impressive. I'll probably get flayed for saying this, but I think Tsukiyomi and Koroama Tsukami are both severely overrated. It's not like other genjutsu can't do the same thing, and when it comes to genjutsu as a whole, it's really hard to use it as a big bonus for a Sharingan because everyone can do genjutsu, and some other homebrew genjutsu types, such as Toyuya's flute genjutsu, are just leagues above it. In fact, I'd venture to say Toyuya's flute genjutsu is perhaps on the same level as Itachi's Tsukiyomi, except it doesn't change one's perspective of time, though I'm certain it could if you tweaked it a bit. Better yet, Toyuya wasn't going blind from using it. That's something we'll mention in a second, but first, let's continue on. An awesome ability that definitely makes the Mangekyo Sharingan worth it, regardless of whether you roll nat 1s or 20s on abilities, would definitely be the Susanoo, which is basically like an easier to control tailed beast. It can serve as a protective barrier or a hard to deflect attack depending on your skill. The better you get with it, the more the Susanoo will evolve. Eventually, it will reach the level of perfection, generally only seen in Indra incarnates and Kakashi. But here's the downside. You go blind from overusing it, ensuring that you not only lose the Mangekyo Sharingan's abilities, but the base Sharingan as well, and your ability to see. Unless you're Madara, in which case you're so plot blessed that you can use your Mangekyo even if you don't have eyes anymore, period. This can be fixed, however, but it requires you to steal a blood relative's eyes. And I'm not talking a cousin or something, I'm talking immediate family, like your mom, dad, brother, or sister. And chances are, that's gonna require their death unless they're really desperate not to die in a situation where they need EMS. After this, we get the Rinnegan, which is considered the pinnacle of all dojutsu. However, the issue with the Rinnegan is that it basically loses half of the previous dojutsu's abilities, and unless you awakened it naturally, all you really get is the 6 paths techniques, such as summoning animals, the King of Hell, lie detection, touch of death, resurrection. This sounds a lot better than I meant it to. The Rinnegan is a powerful dojutsu in its own right, and if you get only that, then you're golden. That being said, if you only get the Rinnegan, then you're going to be missing out on all the abilities of the previous dojutsu, as unless you have the Tomoe version like Sasuke, there's no Eye of Insight, no Eye of Hypnotism, no Susanoo, or any other attack. In Madara's case, he actually had to switch back to the previous states of the Sharingan to make use of its abilities, meaning it's not really practical to leave it activated all the time unless you're Nagato and just can't turn it off. However, unlike the Mangekyo Sharingan, the Rinnegan is a lot more scripted. It has a certain set of powers that it never deviates from, and if you're lucky enough to have been the one to awaken it, you might get 1 or 2 more unique powers. But the issue with this dojutsu is that it requires 6 paths power, which means you either need to be the Sage of 6 Paths, or his descendants, the 10 Tails Jinchuriki, an eater of a chakra fruit, or just be given this power or the eyeballs themselves by someone who already had this power. And the chances of any of those happening is about the same as a monkey with a piano accidentally playing Megalovania without issue, so I wouldn't get my hopes up for that. But now that we've admired the Sharingan, let's see. Can the Byakugan keep up, or was Kakashi just yanking our chains when he said the Byakugan could be better? Let's see. The Byakugan is the personal dojutsu of the Hyuga clan and has not been known to awaken in anyone else outside of their bloodline. And that bloodline includes the Otsutsuki clan, as the Hyuga, through selective breeding, have kept their genes pure to the point that they may be the only clan on the face of the earth so close to the Otsutsuki clan who originally produced this dojutsu. Being basically the base dojutsu that every Otsutsuki is born with, filler Hagoromo included before awakening his Sharingan, you would think that it can't be that special compared to more specialized dojutsu. It's just a white eye. How plain. Except it's actually really overpowered and shares a lot of the things that the Sharingan can do, and can do it perhaps a bit better. First off, it has a 360-degree field of vision, not too unlike a fisheye lens. If you're standing anywhere around them, besides above their first thoracic vertebra, they can see you. And when I say they can see you, I mean they can see you. When I say that they can see into your soul, it's no lie. Their dojutsu is so powerful with sight that they can literally see through any object. In all honesty, clothes are just a goodwill gesture for them. They can see through it, so there's hardly a point. Now I understand why Hinata couldn't stop passing out every time she saw Naruto. Jiraiya must have spent every birthday wish on getting one of these. But besides the perverted advantages, its X-ray capabilities don't stop at the surface level. You can see through people, meaning you can see their internal structure and even their chakra pathway system. Honestly, it's very similar to the Eye of Insight in this way, but on steroids. They can see through gases, and pretty much nothing can get in their way save a few things, such as gases made of certain minerals and certain barrier types. Their fisheye lens style vision allows them to see pretty much everything at once, and is apparently so jarring that when Naruto got to test out the ability with the help of Orochimaru, he nearly collapsed from vertigo. It's hard to see anything and everything all the time. That makes it very hard to sneak up on them. But beyond that, they also have telescopic vision, which allows them to basically be their own binoculars. In fact, they're even more powerful than binoculars, as their range doesn't have a definite limit, and apparently not even the curvature of the earth can stop them. And what's great is that these abilities don't even seem to have an upper limit, in that the more genetically pure you are, or the better you train them, the farther you can see. Neji, for instance, in part 1 could see 50 meters ahead with great detail, but by the time he died in the war arc, he actually had the ability to see over 800 meters away. And that's nothing compared to Hinata, who could see 1 kilometer away with her Byakugan in part 1, 10 kilometers away in the war arc, and over 20 kilometers away during the last movie. 20 kilometers. 12.4 miles. For record, the horizon at sea level is about 3 miles away, and a higher vantage point sets it a little further. But if you think that's crazy, imagine being Kaguya Otsutsuki, who could literally see across most of the earth. That's roughly 12,430 miles, or probably a little less since she can only see most of the globe. A Byakugan user with enough skill can see you no matter where you are, and that's scary. And besides that, the level of detail they can see is astonishing, being able to not only see your chakra pathway system, but even read your chakra signature with it. They can even see the tenketsu in your body, which gives rise to their usage of the gentle fist technique, literally meant to poke you in those tenketsu until you get They can detect clones and even their type by looking at them. Their power goes so far that, if properly trained, like Mukai was in Itachi's light novel, you can even see the chakra points in ninjutsu as it comes, and literally split the ninjutsu with the gentle fist. Its defense against mind reading and likely genjutsu is great enough that when Kaguya tried to use hers to read Hamada's mind, Hamada attempted to use his own to resist her, meaning not only does a Byakugan have the ability to see things, but apparently it can keep other Byakugan from seeing things the user doesn't want them to. It's known that it can see when anyone is under genjutsu, even a subtle one such as Koro Amatsukami. And further, even though it does not possess the ability to cast ninjutsu itself, it does possess the ability to increase the effective range of a genjutsu, as Kaguya used hers along with the Rinne Sharingan to cast the infinite Tsukiyomi across entire nations at once without help from the moon. As while genjutsu isn't Kekkei Genkai locked, range can be. And the Byakugan possesses the ability to send it further. And if you didn't think their perspective was broken enough, at its max potential, a user of the Byakugan, such as Momoshiki, even states that he can read people's fate with his Byakugan. The Sharingan often pretends to read the future through prediction. The Byakugan can actually see so well that it sees the things you haven't even tried yet. That's busted. And because we can't get enough of their abilities, let's take a look at what else they can do. While I'm not sure if they can copy like the Sharingan, their detail detection does allow them to analyze fights and make predictions in the same way. The Byakugan not only has X-ray vision, but also apparently can see the infrared spectrum, and can even tell the way chakra flows, or if you're unable to mold chakra at all, like Rock Lee. And that is just the base Byakugan. Now, I will be fair and tell you now that not all of these abilities are likely to be able to be used by your average Joe Schmo, as some of these seem dependent upon genetics and how close you are to being Otsutsuki. Very likely, Momoshiki being able to read fate with his is a Shinjutsu, and most Hyuga, probably all Hyuga, are born without Shinjutsu capabilities. You'd have to be astronomically lucky, perhaps more so than getting a Rinnegan to get all of these, but the promise that exists within the Byakugan alone is enough in my mind to put it above the base Sharingan easily, and into the Mangekyo Sharingan's level of ability. And since fair is fair, and the Sharingan has abilities that can only be used by Uchiha, as usually a non-Uchiha has no potential to evolve their Sharingan into a Mangekyo unless under very specific circumstances, such as what Obito and Kakashi did, I feel it's fair to mention that the Hyuga, along with their Byakugan, also possess the ability to mold chakra from not only their hands, but from anywhere on their body, which gives rise to their gentle fist fighting style, including many abilities such as the 8 trigrams palm rotation ability, where the user just decides to go the way of the hurricane and spin with chakra so fast that only a Hyuga wouldn't get dizzy. But let's move on. Tensaigan. That's right, there's no Mangekyo Byakugan, sadly, but I guess that's alright. They do have the Jogan, which may be similar to a Mangekyo Byakugan, though I highly doubt it. The Tensaigan appears to be the Byakugan's equivalent to the Rinnegan, being awakened only by those who have 6 paths chakra, or likewise to the Rinnegan, those who possess pure chakra as the descendants of Hamura. The Tensaigan is sadly not very fleshed out due to only appearing in one movie and then disappearing for eternity. But from what we do know of it, it possesses gravitational abilities even greater than the Diva Path, which one might consider the best path of the Rinnegan, though I suppose that's subjective and depends upon users. Sasuke doesn't even use paths, he just uses Ameno Techikara exclusively. But back to the topic, the powers of the Tensaigan's gravitational abilities is lunar level, being more akin to the 6 paths Chibaku Tensei, the technique Naruto and Sasuke had to work together to use. And while we don't know too much about the Tensaigan, whether it keeps Byakugan abilities or not, we do know that it basically grants the user an ability similar to 6 paths Sage mode, called Tensaigan Chakra mode. It allows someone to take on a chakra mode not too unlike Naruto's, and even grants truth-seeking orbs that can be used to a similar degree as a Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Further, it appears to actually give the user Sage mode, as when Teneri took this form on, he got pigmentation around his eyes not unlike Naruto. Among the many abilities of the Tensaigan, it includes energy-based attacks as shown through the vessel during the Lunar War and through Teneri himself, who uses a technique to sever the moon in half. That feat might be more attributed to Teneri himself as opposed to the eyes, as Naruto sorta just slaps the attack away with one hand. But still, a feat's a feat. It appears to also have soul manipulation capabilities, as an energy orb was put inside of Hinata to control not only her mind, but her actions. And while not every puppet in Teneri's possession is created by the Tensaigan, it is very likely that the massive golem he sends to fight Kurama is made that way. We can't really confirm this, and it is speculation, but speculation at this point is the best we can really do, as the Tensaigan is still that dojutsu with like no information on it. But considering that Teneri controlled Hinata with an energy orb that shared the same color palette as his chakra mode and truth seeker orbs, I think it's safe to assume that puppet creation and control is within his ability set. But there's one final dojutsu connected to the Byakugan to talk about, the Jogan. Alright, this is more speculation I suppose. We don't actually know if the Jogan is a Byakugan variant. We can only assume it is because Boruto uses it, is the son of a Hyuga, has a sister with a Byakugan, apparently had something done to him by Teneri according to filler, and has a Byakugan user inside of him. And if we want to go further, the displayed abilities of it are the exact same as the Byakugan, being able to see chakra pathway systems. But its visual prowess can go even further, as it can also see emotions and dark chakra. Further, it can see when and where a portal may open in space-time. While not much else is known about its abilities, it is known to be a troublesome dojutsu with strange abilities strongly connected to the Otsutsuki clan. Whether this makes it rarer than a Rinnegan or just unusual, we do not know. All we know is that the implications of it are that it's very, very strong, but just not possible to get unless you've got plot and genetics to back you up. Getting this thing is like winning the cosmic lottery and moving to space Hawaii. The chances you'll awaken it are so slim that if we're being honest with ourselves, none of us will ever have it. So all in all, which dojutsu is stronger? Verdict. I have the envelope here with the answer inside along with an explanation. And the answer is Sharingan. Okay, sure, you all probably saw this coming, but there's a very particular reason why I say this. It boils down to overall variability through evolution. The Sharingan is just easier to evolve than the Byakugan is, and the chances of awakening a Mangekyo Sharingan are far higher than achieving a Tenseigan or Jogan. And with abilities that just absolutely smash the power scale like Kamui, which basically makes Gentle Fist impossible, and the Susanoo, it doesn't seem possible for a base Byakugan to logically keep up. However, if we back up and look at the points I've made here and disregard whether something is or isn't rare, we can see that things aren't as cut and dry as they appear. The base Byakugan absolutely blows the base Sharingan all the way up to 3 Tomoe out of the water. The only thing keeping the Sharingan going is its Mangekyo state, which generally presents abilities that just overshadow the tickle torture of the Byakugan. And while Tenseigan can keep up easily with a Mangekyo user, and probably even keep up with a Rinnegan user in at least raw strength due to its natural possession of 6-path Sage Mode, which Rinnegan does not have, I would say that the Rinnegan just has more abilities all in all. Sure, it can't drop the full moon on you, but the Rinnegan can drop tiny moons on you. And who would want to destroy the whole Earth they're standing on anyway? The Tenseigan's level of gravity manipulation is very circumstantial, and though it might be able to control puppets, so can the Rinnegan. And worse still, Rinnegan negs conventional durability anyway through the human path, even more if you summon the Ghetto statue and literally use that soul-stripping dragon technique. Now, don't get me wrong, the Byakugan is strong, and at this time, we don't know everything there is to know about the Jogan. So for all we know, the Jogan could just turn around and stomp everything. And if we ever get more Tenseigan lore, it might overshadow everything the Sharingan has ever done. But as of the time I'm making this, right now, October of 2025, the Jogan and Tenseigan simply don't have enough lore to overtake the Rinnegan. While base Sharingan stands no chance against a Byakugan, the Mangekyo Sharingan, if used right, can probably no-diff it, and is more likely to happen than a Byakugan evolving. So, that's the verdict. But, you know, that's okay. This video wasn't designed to prove the Byakugan is the bestest dojutsu ever, despite it actually being really good. It was meant to remind everyone that even something as unsuspecting as the common Byakugan has the potential to overtake many other dojutsu, and has more than earned its spot among the 3 great dojutsu. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell us in the comments what you think is more powerful, why, and which you'd rather have. I'd maybe like the Sharingan more, but it seems like more painful to use and grow power-wise. Maybe I'd rather have the Byakugan if I could turn it off. What about you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all those other great things we always tell you about. Be sure to check out our other videos because we're always cooking, and I'm sure you could use second. Until next time, peace out.